It's 3 o'clock, so I think we better go. I see that we have 26 people in the attendee list. Hopefully you're able to hear me. If some of you, I could see you, if you could raise your hand, your Zoom hand, there we go. So that means you're hearing me, and that's great. Thank you so much. My name's Kevin Kephart. I'm the Deputy Director for USDA NIFA's Institute for Bioenergy, Climate and Environment, and it's a true pleasure to be here with you today. We're very excited about proceeding with a brand new program for FY22 and FY23. It's called the Bioproduct Pilot Program. It was recently authorized through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and it was assigned to USDA NIFA to implement this new program. We're here today to just talk about the details of the congressional authorization that really defines the scope and the nature of the program. And then we'll also be further letting you know about the appropriation level. The purpose of today's input session is to get your input, to get your viewpoints, for us to learn about your priorities and what you're hoping for from a program like this. We use that information to provide guidance and insight to us as we draft the request for applications. We're not here to answer questions about the request for applications because, after all, that has not been drafted or reviewed through our policy division yet. We're at a stage right now about getting your input and hopefully to include some of those issues that you might want us to be aware of. So let's proceed with today's session. If someone could advance the slide, please. First of all, I do have to put some time into our non-discrimination statement. I'll just cover the first bullet really to make sure that we're in accordance with federal civil rights law of the USDA and civil rights regulations. The USDA, its agencies, offices, employees, and institutions participating in or administering USDA programs, that we're prohibited from just making any discrimination based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family or parental status, income derived from public assistance programs, political beliefs, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activity in any program or activity conducted or funded by USDA. Remedies and complaint filing deadlines vary by the program and incident. In the other bullets that you see in this slide, those are some points of contact, phone numbers, where if you have a concern with civil rights, especially in the context of this visit today, please reference that. And then if you need this information, please contact us later on for that if you would like. Let's go to the next slide. So there have been several people that have been involved in planning this new program. We learned about it. We're assigned to lead this back in January. Several people in USDA NIFA have been very involved as we proceed with this. First of all, Bill Hoffman, who's the Chief of Staff at USDA NIFA, Josh Stull, our Legislative Affairs person, and then John Martins in our Communications Office at NIFA. I've been very much involved in it myself, as well as colleague Tim Connor. You'll meet him later on. He's the Division Director for Bioenergy. We have our two lead national program leaders involved in this. Both of them are on the call today. That's Vicki Finkenstadt and Toby Ahrens. And then we also have two of our program specialists also helping to lead this program, Nuran Nahar in the Bioenergy Division and Wendy Flatt in Climate Change. And then Meg Johnson is our program assistant. I do want you to know as well that we've been involving and interacting with colleagues in USDA Rural Development, namely Andrew Jamalowitz. We've had meetings with him, especially in their experience and background with the bioproducts development program. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's our agenda that we have for today. I'll be wrapping up my main part of it here with some introductions. And then we'll introduce to get into the details of what we know right now. And those details are really what's been drafted in the congressional authorization. So Toby Ahrens will be handling that. Vicki Finkenstadt will be talking about some of the program priorities to let you know about and get your input on those priorities as well. Then after that, it's your turn. It's Tim Connor will be leading the discussion on getting your input. Tim will queue you up. We'll be going through that process. Tim will describe that as we get into today's discussion. Next slide, please. So with that, we'll just move right into some of the authorization details, and Toby Ahrens will be leading that. So Toby, handing it off to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin, and hi, everyone. So Kevin mentioned, my name is Toby Ahrens, and I'm a National Program Leader in the Division of Bioenergy at NIFA. I do want to make a couple of quick announcements before I go through this slide. We are monitoring the chat. For anybody that does want any captions, there's a link that's been posted for live captioning for the discussions this afternoon. And any questions that come in through that chat or comments, we will be able to read them and repeat them. We also are showing slides. We're assuming that everyone can see them, but if not, please put a note in the chat. One last point before I get into this, it looks like there is a hand raised. Karen, we will get to raised hands later, and Karen's put it down. So great, I just want to make sure it wasn't for anything process related here. So I'll go ahead and jump in. I'm going to talk through the bioproduct pilot program authorization language and appropriation. And in the slides that follow, I'm going to get into some of the definitions of some of the terms that are mentioned on this slide. So try to stick with me. The bioproduct pilot program was authorized in the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and it directs the USDA to partner with no less than one qualified institution to study the benefits of using materials derived from covered agricultural commodities in the production of construction products and consumer products. This was then appropriated at $5 million a year for each of the fiscal years 2022 and 2023 for a total of $10 million. I will get into some of the definitions on the next slides. Thank you. Bioproduct pilot program. So some of the definitions in the authorization language that I just mentioned: construction products, consumer products, and ag commodities. Construction, and again, these definitions are coming directly out of the authorization language. Construction product is any article or component part thereof produced or distributed for the use during the construction, maintenance, or preservation of a highway, road, street, bridge, building, dam, port, or airport construction project. Consumer products are any article or component part produced or distributed for sale to a consumer for use in or around a permanent or temporary household or residence, a school, or in recreation, or for the personal use, consumption, or enjoyment of a consumer in or around a permanent or temporary household or residence, school, or in recreation. And ag commodities are any agricultural commodity, food, feed, fiber, livestock, oil, or a derivative thereof that the Secretary determines to have been used in the production of materials that have demonstrated market viability and benefits. So those are the definitions that were provided in the authorization. Another important term that was defined is qualified institutions. So qualified institutions are bioproducts research facility that is funded in part by a state, is located within a reasonable distance, not to exceed 3 miles of the primary residence hall of an institution of higher education, provides students opportunities to engage in research activities, and provides opportunities for an institution of higher education to collaborate with private enterprise. Now, the pilot program, in collaboration with USDA RD's BioPreferred program, seeks proposals that study the benefits of using materials, and again, this is language derived directly from the authorization language, so that study the benefits of using materials derived from covered agricultural commodities in the production of, which were just defined, the construction products and consumer products, including the following: cost savings relative to other commonly used alternative materials, greenhouse gas reductions and other environmental benefits relative to their commonly used alternative materials, life cycle and longevity extending characteristics relative to other commonly used alternative materials, life cycle and longevity reducing characteristics relative to other commonly used alternative materials. 5 is landfill quantity and waste management cost reductions. 6, product development and production scale up. And number 7, any other benefits that the Secretary determines to be appropriate. So now I am going to hand over the virtual mic to my colleague, Vicki Finkenstad, who also serves as a national program leader in our division of bioenergy. Vicki, over to you.
Thank you, Toby. Let me advance the slide there. When you take those 6 areas and give them a little bit of a description, you come up with something that looks kind of like this, where you have cost savings, reduced greenhouse gases and other emissions, the longevity, carbon neutrality, zero waste, and value added. And these are mapped directly to those things. We'll talk about the terms we're using in the next slide. If we put in what we're talking about in terms of a bioproduct life cycle, we can add, starting from the top left, we can add our natural resources, our agricultural commodities, renewable clean energy, manufacturing, the transportation and distribution, the large and small businesses, the consumer themselves. Under longevity, we have repair, reuse, recycle, going back to manufacturing, or going to zero waste, where we don't put something in the landfill. It's either degradable and we can put it back into our soil, or some other use where this goes around and around. Now, this is a complex system, and I'm going to put in these circles to show you where everything is interconnected, but that you can isolate certain things. So you can talk about the clean energy circle here with value-added products. You can talk about transportation and distribution in terms of their emissions, the cost savings to consumers. There's loop-de-loop to loops. So we wanted just to kind of give you an idea of the complexity of the system of systems that we're looking for the bioproduct pilot program. We've invited you, our stakeholders, here today to help us. This is a word cloud, a graphical representation of the terms that NIFA staff brainstormed when talking about a bioproduct pilot program. They're in no particular order or level of importance. We will take your input today and use it to make the bioproduct pilot program representative and aspirational. Now I'll turn it over to Dr. Tim Connor for the next slides and the process of how this listening session will be run.
Okay, thank you very much, my team. We have now, actually, let me turn this over to Kevin.
Thank you, Tim. And I'll just want to go through the process that we have ahead of us to implement this program. So we've already received and have studied and interpreted the congressional authorization and the appropriation levels for this program. That's led us to prepare for and get ready for this webinar, this input webinar that we're having right now. So you see that arrow there toward the left side, that's where we are today, is receiving your input to get your assistance in developing the program. Not only will we have this webinar today, but there's also an email that will continue to receive written input from stakeholders until later next week. So that'll be on the next slide, that specific email address and the due date. After that, we'll use that input to get our team together and develop or draft the request for applications. After we've drafted that has to go through a policy review process, so just like all other requests for applications. Once that's navigated the policy review process and we get the green light, we can publish that request for applications on grants.gov. So that'll be the place that we'll post it, as well as providing links from the NIFA website as well. We'll notify people that RFA is available through the NIFA weekly update, that email. If you don't have a subscription to that email, let us know, and you can be receiving that. So we'll publicize that the RFA has been published and is made available on grants.gov. Once that's published, we'll be including when the application due date is. After we've received applications and passed the due date, we'll convene a review panel of scientific experts to review all the applications that have been coming in. So this is really, many of you will be familiar that this is a competitive research program. This is a competitive process. The review panel will give us guidance on the merits of those proposals, help us to rank those proposals, and then funding decisions will be made after that. Our goal is to wrap up all of this process by the end of December of 2022. So with that, let's go on to the next slide, please. I'll hand this over back to Tim. Tim.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Kevin. Okay, so now you've heard about the authorization language and the process. Now it's time to hear from you. So we've reached the portion of this meeting where we really want to hear the stakeholder and participant comments and input, and we'll use this to inform the development of RFA with a solicitation. I want to point out that written comments will be received by email at the address on this slide through 5 p.m. Thursday, May 5th. So that's 1 week from today. So this part of the listening session is organized into 3 sections. The first section, we will call on those individuals that requested the opportunity to comment when they registered for the listening session. We request that these speakers limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. After that, then we'll have a second section, which will allow those who wish to provide input that did not request opportunity in advance, but you have the opportunity to raise your hand and get an opportunity to speak. So for this, you'll need to locate your raise your hand button on the Zoom taskbar. We will call on you and we'll unmute your line, and please introduce yourself and share your input. Once again, we request that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. After this section, we will have a third section, which will allow previous commenters to also make comments again, or also for new commenters that choose to, at this point, so share input. Once again, you'll need to raise your hand so we can recognize you, unmute your line. Then once again, please introduce yourself and make comments. Again, we're limiting all the comments within 3 minutes to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to provide input. Okay, so now we will begin with comments from those that requested the opportunity during registration. Our records indicate that we have 4 speakers that made advance requests to comment. I will call on the speakers in alphabetical order of their last name. So the first speaker is Jessica Bowman, Plant-Based Products Council. And let's make sure that we unmute you, Jessica. Okay. Jessica, please.
Great, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, hi, I'm Jessica Bowman. I'm the Executive Director of the Plant-Based Products Council. Plant-Based Products Council is an association. We represent a broad range of companies who use or make plant or bio-based products. I simply want to just offer support for the program. I think it'll be very valuable to see the data that comes out of it, particularly the data really demonstrating the benefits of these products compared to alternatives, as we see sort of questions in the marketplace and from brands as they're considering adoption of bio-based products and really wanting to understand why they should choose a bio-based product over an alternative they may be more familiar with. So just want to offer support if there's any support that we can offer as an organization, as the Plant-Based Products Council. We are a standby willing to do so, but overall wanted to just offer our support and look forward to seeing the outcome of the pilot projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. The next speaker will be Joe Saugus from North Carolina State University. Joe.
Hey there. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. I'm an assistant professor at North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I lead the biocarbon utilization and sequestration lab. And so I'm really focusing on developing carbon negative bioproducts. And I'm hoping that this pilot program will include the potential for carbon sequestration and carbon negativity within their scope of interest. There are a number of nonprofits that I'm working with and other institutions that are focused on advancing the bioeconomy and hopefully achieving a carbon negative bioeconomy in the future. So with that, thank you again for giving me this platform, and I look forward to the RFA when it comes out in the near future.
Thank you very much, Joe. So next speaker is Daniel Schroll, who's the Vice President for Research and Economic Development at South Dakota State University. Daniel,
Thank
are
you.
you
Thank
there?
you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. I'm Daniel Scholl. I'm at South Dakota State University, where I have the privilege of serving as VP for Research and Economic Development. And we would like to offer a few comments on behalf of our collaborating institutions and partners in the nonprofit and private sector. We'd like to focus on qualifying institutions, suggestion and clarification for that on eligible expenditures that may be included in the RFA, and a further clarification or at least expansion of the scope of eligible research projects. First, focusing on institutional eligibility from the perspective of rural development and providing for economic diversification in commodity-driven rural economies, we suggest that you consider providing a definition of what constitutes a rural state and a rural serving populations. We also suggest that institutional eligibility look at those institutions with evidence of capability in partnering with the private sector, perhaps using existing license relationships with the private sector as a measure. With regard to expenditures that would be considered eligible in the RFA under this program, we suggest that expenditure eligibility include the full gamut, the full range of expenditures that could be engaged in conducting public-private partnering programs for research and development and commercialization. So that would include, to some degree, operational costs of bioproducts pilot research and development facilities. Of course, research costs at the cooperating organizations, both in the public and private sector, but in partnership, and costs associated with technology transfer, including relationship development, IP protection, negotiating and executing transfer agreements and the like. And then finally, with respect to eligible research projects, the category of product development and production scale up, we hope that this scope includes both primary and secondary fermentation processes, and primary and co-product streams that add value to all fractions of commodity feedstocks or secondary streams coming from the commodity feedstocks. That would include protein fractions, carbohydrate fractions, and lipid fractions. And then finally, the category of other benefits that the Secretary determines to be appropriate. We would suggest that projects that provide opportunities during the bench or pilot scale phases of research provide for experimental workforce preparation that would also contribute to the local or regional circular economy that the rural development aspect of this program targets. So thank you very much for the opportunity to provide comments, and we look forward to the RFA.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And then the final speaker we have in this first session is Jing Wang, West Virginia University. Jing, are you there?
Yes, Tim, can you hear me?
Yes.
So first, I'd like to thank NIFA team again. So thank you for this opportunity to discuss this upcoming FOA. So I have a couple of things in here. So for try to introduce myself to you, and my name is Jingxin Wang, a professor, and also director for WVU West Virginia University Center for Sustainable Biomass and Bioenergy in Morgantown, West Virginia. And I'm been working with our partners, including the institutional partners and also industry partners for quite a few years. I hope this FOA can really help to further promote our partnership, even further product development between academia and the industry partners from there. I have a few things I try to say to suggest that you may include this in the upcoming FOA part. So number one, so Toby presented products, commodity, something categories, 3 major categories: construction, consumer, and the other one. And I'm thinking that might be good to give a couple of examples. So in each of the category, and people can understand the things even better. For example, say Toby, for example, say CFT, cross-laminated timber, and could be somewhere in the construction section, and could be consumer section as well, huh, Toby? So some example in those categories could be better for clarification for products. So I think Daniel before me, so he presented something like eligibility for the leading role, like from partners like industry partner, can industry partner lead the project, or either say must be higher education institution lead the effort, and so on. So those things could need to be clarified in the FOA, for example. And the funding level, and what is the funding level for the project. I think I believe you will have this information from there also, but it needs to be there. So number 4, I try to say, because we are working in forestry and logging residue, also ag residue. So those things, I think some language should be there also. So from our perspective, because nationwide, we have a lot of the logging residue as a potential biomass, and even the engineering product feedstock. So those things could be further promoted based on this FOA. Tim, thank you for the opportunity again. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ying. So now we're at section 2, which is more designed to allow those that did not pre-register to make comments, to provide input and opportunity to speak. The one speaker that I initially saw was Zachary Sinwell. Zachary?
You should be able to speak.
Zachary. Okay.
Okay.
We can come back to Zachary if we figure out whatever the issue there is. So Zachary, you want to try again and see, raise your hand again.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Let's move on down to Vivek Tandem. Vivek?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I guess when I saw the initial 3 things, construction, consumer, and commodity, are you guys talking about 3 different centers or one center that can do all 3 things? And the next question which I have it is that it is a very huge kind of a idea which includes a lot of expertise. Whether there should be a kind of a consortium sort of a thing rather than going to an individual university or an individual institution, because if we want to combine everything, we have to have all the expertise in hand in order to be having a successful product coming out of this center or centers, whichever name comes to you. Because we are talking about life cycle, we are talking about climate change, we are talking about greenhouse gas emissions, and everything is kind of far-fetched. They're not far-fetched in the same time that they are interrelated, but it's kind of a holistic approach that will require a lot of expertise from different areas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. Okay, so let's go in order. Let's try Zachary again. Zachary Sinwell, let's try to allow you to talk again.
You hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm here at Alabama A&M University. What we don't have here is anything doing with waste valorization, trying to valorize waste in terms of creating byproduct out of that as a program. And what I was looking at here is to see whether that's something that this kind of program is willing to support, whereby we train the next generation of students that come to our university, being a minority serving institution, to be involved in byproduct valorization in terms of waste management. That's something I'd like to see if the CEO can kind of let us know that it's going to fit into this kind of a byproduct pilot program that we are talking about here.
Okay, thank you, Zachary.
Yeah.
The next hand I see is Sushil Adhikari. I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Sushil. Please make your comments.
Tim, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity. My name is Sushil Adhikari. I'm a professor in the Department of Biosystems Engineering at Auburn University. And I also have the privilege to serve as the director for the Center for Bioenergy and Bioproducts here at Auburn University. I wanted to make a remark on three things. One, on the eligibility of this to be coming RFA. I think there needs to be a little bit of clarity on when you say the state-funded center. So I was not really sure whether that is the center, as specifically funded through the state legislature, or it could be the part of the center that is being funded within the university, because university obviously receives some of the funding from the state. So I was not really sure what we are really referring to when you said the state funded. But also at the same point, I wanted to make sure that the USDA NIFA puts some emphasis on the EBSCO states. The USDA defines some of the EBSCO states, so maybe give some priority to those EBSCO states for this opportunity. I think that would be something useful. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of the research, if you look at it, last year or two or maybe 3 years, there has been a lot of focus on battery operated vehicles and things like that, but agriculture sector uses a lot of hydrogen in order to produce ammonia. So perhaps there should be some specific focus on producing hydrogen from biomass or maybe renewable resources to decarbonize agriculture sector. And so if you know, about 10% of the greenhouse gas emission is being contributed from the agriculture sector. So I think the producing hydrogen from renewable resources such as biomass and others would be very important. Many of the universities have, gathered these pilot scale facilities in the past. So maybe if we can provide funding to kind of continue test it at the pilot scale in those capacity, I think would be much better to commercialize this technology down the road. And then so maybe not to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, but just leveraging some of the infrastructure that many of these universities have from the previous fundings. I think that would be very helpful. The third component, it is very important for us to think about workforce development. How do we make sure that we train our next generation students, both graduate and undergraduate students, who will be able to go and work in this company, this biorefinery, once we have it. And so maybe there should be some emphasis on workforce development, including DEI component, right? So this should be diverse workforce development, equitable and inclusive workforce development. And so maybe I would encourage the USJ NIFA to think on those aspects. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Sushil, for your comments. So the next speaker will be Philip Poirier. Philip? Are you there, Philip?
Hold on just a second. I missed my click, and his hand went away. So I don't know if, oh, there he is. Hold on.
Okay. Philip.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Thank you, everyone, for your time. So in a nutshell, I am a beginning veteran farmer, Native American, service-connected disabled veteran. I am from the Delaware Tribe of Indians, and I'm the first in my tribe to become a licensed commercial industrial hemp producer in the state of Kansas. So very exciting. We are looking for a sustainable economic model. We have just started a cattle management program that will eventually evolve an 18-month timeline to a meat production facility. Running in line with that is the hemp production on former trust or tribal land. And we're underway. So seeds getting ready to go in ground next week. I would just ask from my heart to all involved, if you already haven't, if you'd please include all indigenous people, all Native folk. In rural America, I also sit as the current chairperson for Housing Committee for the Delaware Tribe of Indians. And I can tell you, it is something we badly need, not only for our elders, but for our future generations. And thank you for having this conversation today. Wanishi, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Philip. Okay, so are there any other speakers? We'll give you a moment.
Yep.
Okay, we do have another one. Thank you. Jiming Shi, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Please make your comments.
Thank you, Tim. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jiming, yes.
So this is Xiaoming Shi, a professor in Civil and Environmental Engineering Department at Washington State University. I also direct a National University Transportation Center focused on infrastructure durability. So I'm pretty excited about, the possibility of incorporating more bio-derived materials into our transportation infrastructure. And actually on campus here at WSU, we also have a center for bioplastics and biocomposites. So my question or comment would be maybe a little more clarification in terms of the definition of pilot. Are we talking about field demonstration, or are we talking about maybe research scale pilot? Or what's the encouraged model, or is that a phased approach to pilot? So, but I'm pretty excited about this opportunity and look forward to collaborate with others to see how we can, divert some of these waste materials or green chemicals into concrete, asphalt, and other construction applications. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jimmy, for your comments. Okay. So what we can do now is move to the third section, which if there are additional comments by anyone that's spoken so far after maybe listening to other colleagues, if you have additional comments, now's the opportunity in which you can, again, comment again, or others that haven't had opportunity to comment, please feel free to use this time. Again, try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
If you could raise your hand so that we can see it.
We'll go with Karen Edwards.
Yes, I was wondering if you could describe the potential for the private sector to partner in this.
Okay. And so what we'll do, Karen, is we'll use your questions as a sign of something we want to clarify or as for feedback to sort of make sure that it is clear.
Thank you.
Okay. And now we have Daniel Schroll again. Daniel?
Thank you. I realized while my colleagues were speaking that we haven't said much about what comprises a pilot facility. I think something that would be important is that it include the concept of scaling up from bench level to commercial scale. You know, whether that's 500 liters or greater, 1,000 liters or greater, 2,000 liters or greater. And then of course I'm speaking specifically of the bioprocess pathway to bioproduct production. But I think that would be of tremendous long-term value for promoting the circular economy in the rural sector.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Any other input? Any other speakers? Give the people just a moment. Oh, okay. So I want to, at this point, Dr. Kephart, there doesn't seem to be any other speakers wanting to comment, so I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Tim. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I counted 44 attendees, so that's a pretty good participation. As I'm speaking here, I'm also looking at the list of participants, and I'm going to open it up just one more time. So I'll be an auctioneer of going once, twice, or three times. One last time, we do have time here yet. If you have any last comments that you'd like to say, we would really want to hear that from you. This is a great opportunity. And I'm not seeing any come up, but if something comes up later on that you wished you would have conveyed or sent to us, you can still do that.
We have one.
There we go.
Sushil would like to make another comment.
So I'll let Sushil in, but I do want to raise attention to the email address on the screen that you have right now. That's REE-NIFA-bioproduct pilot program at USDA.gov, and we'll be monitoring that email address if you want to send us additional comments in writing. That due date is May 5th at 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And Sushil, I'll let you in now.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Tim, for letting me speak again. As I was thinking, one of the things that came up to my mind was the Sun Grant Initiative, that the USDA has funded for a number of years on the biomass feedstocks. So there are certain feedstocks that grow well in Southeast. There are maybe some feedstocks that grow well in Northwest. And so as we are, funding this pilot program, so perhaps we need to be very strategic on not to fund the similar technologies in different places, but perhaps, strategically thinking about, is there a thermochemical conversion pilot program makes sense, and then biochemical. And so they have much more distributed in terms of the technology, and then hopefully some of them would make it to the commercialization stage. That's all I wanted to say.
Very good. Thank you. I see Jiang Wang was let in as well.
Yes, Kevin, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, I think I want to add something, language related to the underserved community or something, and the economically depressed areas, whatever in the country. So those language need to be included to encourage, say, further economic development in these regions.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other comments that you'd like to offer? Well, if not, go to the next slide, please. And the next slide is just a very sincere thank you. Thank you for your time. This is so helpful. I heard some consistent comments and some unique comments, but all of it is going to be very helpful for us as we work through these items that you've shared with us. And we're looking forward to, as a next step, publishing the RFA and implementing this very exciting program. So with that, I think that's all we have for today, and we can wrap it up. So thank you all. I see Karen, I don't know if she's still on to distribute the slides. This whole presentation is recorded and will be posted on NIFA's website for the BPP, the Bioproduct Pilot Program.